I'm not going to talk about climate change, I know that
much. Maybe Brexit? So morning everyone, and like Dean said earlier, thanks so much for being invited along here to give a presentation. It is great to see so many people in one room, and this actually, part of my presentation is about how we learn from talking to people like this rather than out on site, normally in the bar, which is a good thing to have at an event. So my name's Ben Taylor, I work for Campey's. This is actually my area. I look after the south of England and also look after the Benelux region of Europe. Now, I'm nervous today, not because I'm in front of you people, but because my boss is sitting here somewhere, and I haven't seen him yet, so I keep him out of my eye line. And it's difficult because normally I talk about him in a presentation, and today he's here, so I've got to be careful what I say. And the presentation is cool. There's no such thing as a bad idea. And it comes from, as we talked about, or as I just said about, talking to people, getting ideas off of people. Every machine that we produce has come from someone's idea. It's come from a need of people needing a machine to do something. And the only way we get to hear about these kind of things is by talking to people, talking to users, talking to customers. And it's classic because last night I actually got talking when we were down on the pitch. I was talking to someone and I can't find him now. And first, we were talking for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then he said to me, what you need to make is a machine that. And that is what we need. That is exactly what we're looking for. We need to know what people need next. We've got lots of machines. We sort of work on machines and we get them right and get them to do what they want to do, make them more reliable, but we need to know what is coming next or what people need next. And the whole thing of this presentation is talking about what we've learned from people, where people have had problems, and where we've provided a solution to that. And then, so there's just a comment on there of Richard's. I'm not quite sure when he said it. I'm not quite sure either. But the pursuit of innovation is far more satisfying and rewarding than merely trying to replicate what others have done. So we're always looking to be the leader and get the next thing and the next product. So who are Campey's? We're a company founded by Richard Campey. We're based in the northwest of the UK. We're suppliers of renovation and maintenance equipment around the world, which we'll have a look at. We work closely with leading groundsmen and greenkeepers across the world. So we're in both markets, and it's roughly split 50-50 that we do work in golf and we do work in sports turf. So we do see different markets, and some of them do cross over, some of them don't cross over. Sometimes we go to places and we say, well, they've been doing this in golf for years. And then the others we say, we go, football, we've been doing this for years, and we transfer it over to golf. We have a strong input into the design we manufacturers. I think everyone knows that we work very closely with Imants, who produce the Coro. That's one of our biggest sellers, certainly in this industry. It's one of the biggest products we make. And we've helped shape the Coro where it is today, from where it started off to where it is presently. That's been with our input and our feedback to the manufacturers. There's 38 of us now. I didn't know that. Last time I did this presentation, I think it was 30, so there's 8 more of us now. But there's 38 of us. Most of them are based in the offices and the warehouse, etc. But there is some of us out on the road. And I didn't know this was in there, but we won an award this year, so they've obviously put it in a presentation because they're quite pleased about winning the Greater Manchester Chamber of Commerce Excellent Award. Okay, so we've got Global Star Award winners 2024. And that was about a month ago, I think, that we won that. I'll just move that, sorry. There's several different parts of the company. Campey's TurfTech Systems, as Richard founded it, has been going for 30 years. For those that don't know, Richard, many years ago, when everything was in black and white, used to work for Sysys, which I'm sure you all heard of. So he was a sales rep for Sysys. And then he moved on into contracting, and he actually had his own contracting business. And it's in his own contracting business that he met Co, who had made the Coro. He bought a Coro, he bought a top drain, and he was in the contracting business looking after football pitches. And then from there, the products that he found he liked, he moved on and he started selling them. It come to a point where he had to choose whether he was contracting or selling machinery, and he went down the line of selling machinery. So that's where we are today. There's different parts of the company. Campey TurfTech, there's now Campey Ireland. That's the Brexit conversation, which we're not going to talk about. We've got a depot now in Australia. There's an agricultural side of the business as well. Some of the manufacturers make agricultural machines, so we do get into those as well. We own a time company for selling replacement tines and blades, and we have an online shop as well. We also have like 2 depots now. We have a domestic depot where people can go in and buy a chainsaw or a strimmer, and then we have the big stuff located somewhere else. We do have distributors across the world. Pretty much all the world is covered now. If we don't have a distributor there, we get sent there. So we get packed off with machinery. And we're just talking now, and someone said, where's so-and-so from our company? We've got a guy at the moment in Spain doing a greenkeeper meeting there. We've got 2 guys in Saudi Arabia this week as well doing demonstrations over there. So we are pretty global. We do have one guy who covers basically everything on the right-hand side of that picture. And he gets home about 3 days a year, I think. So last year, we import a lot of machinery from all over the world, but mainly from the US and Canada and Europe. You can see there we had 19 containers of machinery came in. It would have been nice if we had a bit more, but some of it's delayed, as we all know is still going on. 44 lorry loads imported from Europe, which this is the Brexit thing. 5 years ago, it was very easy to import stuff from Europe and export it. That's changed a little bit, but we're getting there. We're learning. We're making it a lot quicker than it used to be. We sold to 93 different countries. 210 shipments went to Europe, so that's normally on the back of a truck. 5 shipments went by air freight last year. We do get demand across the world where suddenly people need a machine in a hurry. We can air freight it. There has been a Coro that's been air freighted, which I shouldn't think that cost. I shouldn't think that was cheap. And then you can see 19 full containers, 27 exports, 15 more loads to Ireland. So we do supply a lot of these clubs, and we supply them, but we work with them as well. All of these people on this list that we don't just sell a machine and leave it. We listen to them, and all of these guys have had input into what we're producing today, and that's what we're going to have a look at further through. We listen to the customer. We love this innovation. We thrive on it. Richard absolutely thrives on it. Is what we need to know, what people want to do, where people want to go next. And when we do find these machines, we do like to demonstrate them. Again, we'll have a look through as we get there. But we're well trusted with our team and our partners. People phone us. They're not phoning the people with the machines. They're actually phoning us for advice. We all want to see better quality playing surfaces. And this is a big one, that we don't just worry about the Premier League football clubs, the Championship football clubs. Everything that we learn from up there, we take to the grassroots. And we like talking to grassroots clubs and helping out grassroots clubs. And again, we do a lot of education with grassroots clubs. We supply them machinery, not necessarily top frontline machinery, but a machine that will do a job. And that's important to us. And these are like the 3 statements that I sort of chose that sum up Campey's. We don't settle for second best. We don't like selling a machine that's kind of all right. If we sell a machine, it's got to work. Everyone's got to be happy with it. It's got to do the job that it's designed to do. We're all passionate and very committed about doing this. I think there's a lot of our guys travel weekends, travel late evenings, get home late, and we're all doing this so that we can do things like this, so we can listen to people and learn. And we don't deal with imitations. We all know that there's machines that will do a job, that do a similar job. We're not interested in them. We want to be the machine that does the job and does it right first time. And we have to do that. When we talk about we're supplying machinery around the world, we have to be able to get this machine to be right and be reliable for when it goes. It could go anywhere. I think one of the first jobs I did with Campey is I got sent off to Costa Rica to install a Coro. And so we have to make sure when I get there, that Coro is going to go on that machine, it's going to do the job that it needs to do, because it's a long way to take it back. And this has changed again in the years since I've been with Campey 10 years, and in the time it's changed a lot since then. that when we go and get the Coro out at the end of the football season, we need to know that that Coro is going to do the job. And I remember even 10 years ago, we've moved on to two new developments of Coro since the old one. People used to dread the Coro coming out, or when the end of the football season, renovation season starts, people used to worry, is it going to work? Is it going to do the job? Is it going to be clean? Is it going to be tidy? We don't even worry about it now. We don't even know that renovation season has started, and unless we look on Twitter, when normally people are putting Twitter a video of the Coro working. Okay, but we used to get customers worried about it and go out to machines that weren't quite performing, but we need to make sure that that machine is going to be right, and it is. We like to do demonstrations, and I've done it again. I spoke to someone yesterday. We've done some demonstrations in Belgium, we've done some demonstrations in Holland, and our demonstrations normally involve a full renovation. So we will go and we will demonstrate the machinery that you require to completely renovate a football pitch. So we will Coro it off, we will sand it, we will seed it, everything that you need to do. I'm still a big believer that you don't buy anything from a show anymore. If you go to a show and see a machine, you need to make sure that machine is going to work on your site, because every site is different, every condition is different, and we just need to make sure. So we all have trailers, we all drag trailers across the world to make sure that machine is going to do the job that you want it to do. And again, like I said, we're strong believers in education. What we do learn from here, we do take to other places. And you can say we've been involved in a lot of things with Martin's turf business. We've been involved in that from day one, and we love it because we get to meet so many people and chat to so many people from different markets with different problems, and that's where we learn. So, with some of these guys, we're talking to Premiership football clubs, rugby clubs, etc. And then again, top left there, we're doing it on a cold Tuesday night in Stoke, as we say. We're talking to people that don't even know what a tractor is, don't know how to start a tractor, don't know what a slitter is. We're educating these guys just to help them and bring them along. And again, so we need to make sure when we are selling this and we are educating, we've got the best products that we can get, and they're going to meet the demands of what everyone's going to do. Going back to reliability, it's changed now with football clubs. And I remember when football clubs, again, used to have 8 weeks to do a renovation in the summer, 8 to 10 weeks, and it was quite nice. Now, there's one guy in the UK had 20 days to do a renovation. From Coroing off to the first match was 20 days. Okay, they had a concerts there, and no matter how good a groundsman he is and then says that, I don't want you to do that, if they can earn another 2 or 3 million quid from having concerts on the pitch, they're going to do it. Okay, so the pressure's on the groundsman to then get that renovation done. The worst thing he does is he does it, and he does it well, because then next year he's going to have 18 days to do it and bring it on. So that time scale is going down. And this is our big thing. So this is our innovation. This is over the time, how machines have moved on. Just recently, when I first started, there wasn't many football clubs had their own Coro. Nearly every football club in the Premier League in the UK had a contractor in to do their renovations. Now we're looking at certainly all the Premier League Coro pitches off, all the Championship Coro pitches off, League One, League Two, and now we're going down to non-league. They're all Coroing their pitches off every year as the solution. And we're having a lot more football clubs are buying their own Coros and doing it themselves. Because all that means is they can do their renovation as and when they need to do it, rather than having to worry about when the contractor's booked them to do it. It's good for us though, because we sell Coros that way, and if the contractor's busy, they have to buy another Coro. So we do have this run. But you can see, so the Coro here, just from the pictures on here, how it's moved on. There's a Mark 1, Mark 1 and Mark 2, Mark 4, Mark 5 and a Mark 7 Coro on those pictures. So every time we've changed the Coro, there's been something that's not quite been right. We've changed it, we've modified it, and we've come along. Last year was just a colour change, because it's gone into Imant's product colours. There's no difference between that Coro and that Coro. But the amount of people that phoned us and said, we want the new Coro, that all it is a different colour. So, and Dean talked about a guy who I learnt a lot from in Steve Braddock. I think a lot of us learnt from Steve Braddock. But this slide sort of sums up. He sat me down when I was introduced to him years ago, but when I started working for Richard, he sat me in his office and he said, "I'm going to educate you." So he sat me down for about 6 hours and he told me about the whole history of the way the football clubs are looked after, pitches are maintained now and what's changed. And we can see the picture there from 1975 to the picture on the top right of the greatest football club in the country. But we've changed from having football pitches like that to football. I'm just going to say that because I like Genk, because wherever he is, because Trossard used to play for Genk. He was my favourite player at Brighton, and then he went to Arsenal, so he's not my favourite player anymore. But I remember Steve Braddock sitting me down and saying there's 3 things that have changed this industry. In the time that he's been doing it, 3 things have made everything completely different. Number 1 is grow lights. Florian, did you get that? So number 1 is grow lights has changed the industry. Number 2 is reinforced pitches, stitch pitches, hybrid pitches have changed the industry. And number 3 is the Coro. I don't think there was a particular order in that. I just got up. But those 3 things have changed the pitches to go from that to that in the way that they're maintained. Now obviously I know there's seed companies and fertiliser companies are going to shout at me, but you know, those are the 3 basics that have completely moved it on. Also, with that, looking at the picture on the left-hand side, I guarantee you that Derby pitch there was maintained by 1, maybe 2 people. Okay, this is a package that we sold to 1 football pitch to maintain it. Okay, so that's the equipment there. I bet you only have 1 mower and a fork at that pitch. This one there, you know. So the spend has gone on. You know, people are demanding more and more better quality football pitches. And with that, with the Coro and the innovation of the Coro coming through, it's had to change. So the very first basic Coro was great, it stripped off, it removed the power, which is what everyone was trying to get rid of. But then the number 2 in the 3 products that came along of hybrid pitches, that sort of came along and ruined the Coro. And with the plastic fibres put into the pitch, if you used the old traditional Coro, you'd also take all those very expensive plastic fibres out. So suddenly we had a big challenge with the Coro, where we had to then adapt that or make that get the able to renovate hybrid pitches. And those that have got hybrid pitches know I don't need to tell them now, we do need to renovate them every year. We do need to clean them out. They do get an algae. If we leave them for a long time, they get an algae that forms in the top that gets slippery, and all those very expensive football players fall over and get injured. So we need to remove that algae through the season, but mainly at the end of the season we need to get rid of it. There was a club, a Premier League club in England, who, when he first had his hybrid pitch put in, he was so convinced that it was so clean and it was never going to be a problem that he left it over the summer and used the same pitch as it was for the next season. And by Christmas time, players were, it's like they were ice skating, they were going all over the place, and he got in a lot of trouble for that. So he was the test bed though, so he was the one that risked it to not renovate, and it didn't work. So we went back to having to renovate. So with the Coro, this rotor was developed, and this is like huge for Campey, this is huge for the Coro. This is actually Richard himself and Simon, who have the patent on the universe rotor, as we call it. This is like the finished article. There was several different versions of it, because I've seen the pictures of them that didn't quite work, but this is the one that we see today. So on a 2.5 metre Coro, we have 261 individual blades. And the easiest way to explain it as to why it doesn't put out the plastic, but it does put out all the debris, is it's like putting a comb through your hair. When you put a comb through your hair, it goes through. Okay, it doesn't pull bits of your hair out as you go through. It's exactly the same as what the universe rotor's doing. It's going through, leaving the plastic that's anchored, and then removing everything else. So this really was a game changer for us. We can now renovate those hybrid pitches. We can change it as well. We can use that. It's called the universe rotor because we can do other things with it as well. We can do this is a 10mm blade where we would actually take everything out. We can have a 5mm blade, which is 50% of the material we're removing. And then when we call it a scarifying blade, it's 3mm blade, we can take 30% of the material out. So again, we're using that corro for something else, but the big thing was really for us is we can now maintain those stitch pitches. So with the corro, we again, with the innovation side of it, the corro came out. There's a guy called Eddie Seaward who's dead now actually, but he was head of Wimbledon for like 475 years. He was like there when they built it. Great groundsman, massive problem with power. Whatever you see on telly, or did see on telly, don't believe it. They had a very good die, but huge problems with power that they couldn't get rid of it. At Wimbledon, they tried scarifying, and then he saw the corro doing these football pitches. The easiest way to get rid of their power was to take it all out with the corro and start again. And he said, I'd love to have a corro, but Wimbledon, centre court at Wimbledon, as this is, was built 100 years ago with a doorway which was 7 foot wide. That's as wide as he can get down onto the court. So they actually went back and they took the exact 2.5 metre corro how it works, and then made a mini version. So a 1.2 metre corro. Took it to Wimbledon. I think it did about 2 lines when it went to Wimbledon, and he bought 2 of them. And now this is the process. This was actually one of my first jobs when I was at Campey's. They had a corro. I got told to take a 1.2 metre corro, the new 1.2 metre corro, to Wimbledon and go and try it. So off I went down to Wimbledon with it, and I said, where are we going to do it? Some quiet area around the back? He said, no, we're going to do centre court. One of the most iconic venues in the world. And I was more nervous about doing that than doing this presentation, but Neil, who's there now, he said to me, what's the worst that's going to happen? We're taking it up. You know, what is the worst we can do? And lucky enough, everything worked great, all good. So this is now their practice at Wimbledon. They do this. They do it on a rotation now of every 3 years with the corro. They don't believe there's enough power comes in 3 years to justify doing it every year. The problem they have at Wimbledon with doing it every year is they lose the levels. They keep going down and down and down, and then the posts for the nets actually raise up. So they have to put so much material back. And another version of the corro, and again, this is actually Steve Braddock. So we had the corro, he had a corro at London Colney, and he said, what I want is a corro, but I don't want the hassle of having to get a tractor out, a trailer out, strip it right off, everything else. So what I want to do is like we are now, an international break, so I want to go and hit those pitches hard, and I can just sweep it up afterwards, because there's no rush. So this is a corro. This is a 1.6 metre corro with a universe rotor in there with the 5mm blades, where he's literally just ripping out all of that material, and you can see the stuff that it's bringing out. And he used to do that twice in the season. That would be his mini renovation with that. So it's looks quite severe. But again, we can do that on hybrid pitches because it's got that universal rotor inside there. Another machine that we sort of found or came across at the golf show in America was the Air 2 G2, and this is a bit of a love it or hate machine. Some people like it, some people don't like it. This machine is a huge seller into golf because it's, for the maintenance of golf greens, it's perfect for an all year round way of aerating, minimal disturbance, getting the air into the ground. It improves our drainage and infiltration. You'll probably see again videos on Twitter of people going out and sticking it in the puddle and it blowing lots of pretty bubbles up. Not quite sure what that's doing, but it looks good for a video. But the one it does in sports turf is it relieves the surface hardness. So we can, again, with hybrid surfaces, we can drop the clegg reading down by softening up the surface by putting an Air 2 G2 into it. And it came from America, actually. There's quite a few American football teams used to use them to reduce the hardness fairly quickly. But the big one in golf is the bottom one, actually. It's improving the routing. And we're actually getting Alistair Beggs from the RNA now, is going around and recommending that we have an Air 2 G2, or of course, have an Air 2 G2 to improve the root growth. Because roots won't grow in solid ground. You're using the Air2G2 to break that up and let the roots grow into that. And it's funny because Alistair Beggs was the most anti-man of the Air2G2 when it first came out. I'm not sure why, not sure what's changed, but now he's the speed dresser. So this is another machine. This is a Campey machine that we developed. Basically a machine that we can now put 100 tonne of sand out onto a football pitch in an hour. Okay, if you've got someone decent loading it, you can put it out there. Again, I remember there's a video online of Steve Braddock and a certain Paul Burgess. When they're at Arsenal, when they're going out onto the pitch, it's being verti-drained and they're carrying bags of sand and pouring sand down the holes into the pitch. But God knows how long that took to do it. But like I say, 100 tonne an hour we're doing with a speed dresser now. It's a video, I didn't know it was a video. Again, we can vary the depth of how much we want to put down on there. We want to do a light dressing, a heavy dressing. But the important thing is, with the speed dresser, is that it's even. We put it down exactly the same all the way across the pitch. And more importantly now, we're finding in stadiums is that when we're dressing with a speed dresser, we don't put all the sand into the carpet around the outside, because we can actually switch that on and off as we get to the edge. With a broadcast spreader, we do end up getting a lot of sand goes into the carpet. We get a lot of seed goes into the carpet, and then we get grass going, and it's very difficult to get out. The uni rake, which I say we do have one outside, which I didn't even know was here. But again, this came about, and I was talking again to someone else yesterday about this, that the reason the uni rake came about was with hybrid pitches, or the coming of hybrid pitches, when we get this algae that forms in the top of the surface, and we need to break that algae up, need to clean it out. And we needed a rake that was variable as to how hard we rake it. And we needed it to be doing it quick. So we used the uni rake just to bring out, and the international break is normally when everyone gets their uni rake out. Because it's not quite a scarify, it's just enough to remove that material. We bring it up, we've got 2 weeks recovery to go from there. So we do, and there is one of the hybrid manufacturers basically won't, if they put a pitch in, they tell them they've got to have a uni rake to maintain it, for the warranty. Another one that came about is the uni scratch, and this is fairly recently that we've had to find a machine called the uni scratch, and this is because of when the hybrid manufacturers went to these carpet hybrids. So the sort of lay and play carpet hybrids, the idea initially was that they put a pitch down that was stable as a carpet, and when they have a concert, they pick it up, throw it away, put a new one down, etc. But then some people do want to renovate them because they can't afford to keep putting a new pitch in. So when the manufacturers said about we're going to have a carpet hybrid, they said it's fine. You can just maintain with a corro, just renovate, put the corro for it, renovate it, it's fine. The trouble is, they're supposed to be 40 mil below the surface, the bottom of the carpets, but they're not always. So again, Costa Rica, when I went there, I put the corro across this pitch, and as I looked out the back window of the tractor, the ground was moving behind me, which I wasn't quite sure what was happening, and as I looked up, the carpet was actually going out the elevator. It had pulled it up underneath and was chewing it up. And all it was is it just wasn't level. So we had to come up with a machine quickly that we can clean out the surfaces of the hybrid. Instead of going vertically, we actually found a solution to do it horizontally. It's not easy, and it's not as quick as using the corro. Okay, with a corro, people are doing 2, maybe 3 passes on a hybrid stitched. With the uni scratch, you're normally doing about 6 or 7 passes and a clean up every time. So it's going to take you about a week to do a hybrid carpet. Okay, so then you have to work out justify the cost. But you can see we do, eventually, this is a Deso stitch pitch, or sorry, not necessarily a Deso, it could be anyone's. But this is a stitch pitch, and we can see we can get down to getting all that material out and doing it that way. And this was actually at Tottenham's training ground when Darren was there, and basically he had 3 types of carpet in a line. So 3 different manufacturers of carpet. He'd let them grow through the season, and then we had to go in over those 3 bits, use the machine, and this was a long time ago that we did this, and find a machine that would actually get all that out of the hybrid. And I put this in because we don't always get it right. Okay, we do spend a lot of money on machinery that we see at shows, or we find, or someone comes to us with a machine that we think would be really good. And this is just one example of one that we thought was going to be the next best thing. You know, John talked about it yesterday. We were all going down to robotics, automation, etc. So we found a company that made a machine that was going to, I'm not quite sure what it was going to do actually. I think it was going to mow under solar panels and things like that, and you could put bits on the front, bits on the back. We paid a lot of money to get this over from America for a show, and it went very quickly back to America from that show. It wasn't the greatest. So, but I think that machine was about 50,000-60,000 quid. So we buy a machine and it's not quite right. So we do, you know, sometimes we do make machines that aren't quite right. Just a little sales pitch at the end, because everyone always asks us, whenever we go to a show, they say, what's next, what's new, everything else. So just some that are coming on at the moment. We found a company that make it, it's called the Seed Shot. So it's just a simple tool that basically groundsmen can have, go out onto the pitch, any bare patches. You put it down on the ground, you stand on it, pull a trigger, and it fires 100 holes into the ground and drops a seed in each one. So it's just a simple, easy, quick patch repairer. And we found a lot of the groundsmen at stadiums have basically bought each guy one that they go at the end of the ground. When they're divoting, they can go out and they can bang some seed in as well. Vrado do something similar, but a different way of doing it in the turf buddy. So we're using a disc seeder, a drill seeder, and that's been very popular for linesmen's runs. So where the linesman keeps running up and down the same bit, we can use that. And it's no problem in hybrid as well. We can use that, drill it in, and if it's 2 weeks before the next game, the grass is already up in 2 weeks. So they've become very popular. This actually came from a customer of mine was after, you know, he said to me, I want an electric powered spiked roller. And we were just like, where on earth are you going to find one of them? And that's actually a Premiership stadium that was after one. Richard and I went to a show in Holland last year. We walked past the stand, and on the stand was an electric powered spiked roller. It basically runs off of a battery off of a push bike and drives a little wheel under the back. That's the transport wheel. There's 3 little wheels on the back there. We literally just got it for the show. The show was 2 weeks ago in England, the TurfTech show, so we put it on at the show. A guy from Chelsea came up and said, that looks good, can we see it? I took it to Chelsea last Wednesday, and now Paul Burgess is holding it hostage. It's not allowed to go anywhere else. So you can see one when he lets it go. But it's been very popular actually. It's a great little tool for in the middle of winter when everything's really wet and you want to get some aeration on there. It's worked quite nicely. And then there's a couple of other bits. We did some scarifiers. A company made some scarifiers for us, and we've had them for a couple of years, and everyone's, oh, that's great, but we need a high-tip one. So now we do a high-tip scarifier. Again, these have just come from what people have wanted. So what's next? What problems do you have, and what's the machine of the future? And again, like I said, this is where we learn from places like this that we want to know. So if you have got an idea, share it with us. Okay, if you have got a problem, share it with us, because quite often we can help, we can adapt the machine to do it, and unless you tell us, we can't develop the machines and we don't move on. Okay, well, one big one at the moment, actually, just on that in the UK is a lot of clubs used a little tractor mower, it's a Westwood or a Countach with a sweeper on the back. So after the games, they would go out with those and sweep up. They've now discontinued that machine. So a big problem at the moment is cleaning up at the end of the pitches. And again, we want a way of doing it that's lightweight, that we can, it's not time consuming, we don't need several people out with mowers. So that's something we're working on with a couple of manufacturers at the moment. So that's basically it from me, unless anyone's got any questions or ideas that they want to share. Silence. All right, I'm done. Thanks very much.